This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to your sunset safari. We're just admiring the view from one of my favourite places on Djuma Private Game Reserve, and that is the junction between Rebecca's and Zoe's. So we're just admiring the landscape and the blue skies with these fluffy clouds. So it's a pleasure to have you here on this live safari through the African bush. It's a very hot, sticky day here, I can tell you that. We're very lucky that at least there's some clouds to give us some cloud coverage and at least some shade on this hot day. 33 degrees Celsius, 91 degrees Fahrenheit. My name is Lauren. I do have Simon on camera once again. And we don't really have any plans for today. We're going to bumble around the water hose and see what we can pick up on. I would like to spend the evening at the Hyena Den. They were not there this morning. Missing them terribly already. So once it gets a little bit cooler, because it's definitely not right now, we will head to the Hyena Den. So I think I'm going to bumble south. But of course, I must share how you can talk to us, because you can. We're live and interactive. You can use the hashtag on Twitter, and the hashtag is WildEarth. You can use @FC on the YouTube chat stream. Or you can register on the Wild Earth website. You just head over to the live safari page and submit your questions there. Now, if you're under 18, lucky you, you send us an email. That alerts us to your question very quickly, and it's kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. I love the shade, the shady patches that has been created by the clouds, providing a little bit of relief across this landscape. This is one of the higher points on Djuma. And you can just see how lush and green. There's no mistaking that it's summer. Even if you were blindfolded, the sounds, you would know immediately that you're in summer in the Lowveld. And there's nothing quite like it. So we'll pepper our drive today with lots of insects. I do miss the bushwalk, so if we spot any six-legged creatures, we will stop to admire them. So as I bumble south, we're going to send you guys across to Andrew to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve this afternoon. We also cool things that, we're looking at also the sky, the western sector My name's Andrew. On camera I have Davy again this afternoon. So we came to the high point just to begin the drive, see what could be around this open area here. But looks like nothing for now because of probably too hot, Temperature is slightly rise to the temperature of 33 degrees, 91 Fahrenheit. And now all of the landscape that you can see on the far end, looking at the western sector. Today there is no visible of the Drakensberg mountain for sure that I can see is all covered with cloud. That's where normally they actually appear from there. So it's probably heavily cloudy in that area. So our plan is to look around for pride of lions if they're around. As we saw male this morning, but there was a tracks of female that were also seen around. So remember to talk to us. Easy way to register on World Earth website, and you go to live safari page. From there you can submit your questions and comments, and we're happy to answer for you, coming to you live in this area. Was a buffalo also around this morning? What makes me come to this area just to see what they will be about. You can see how green is actually showing out there. The bush is still great for all browsers and grazers. Then these grazers and browsers, they always sustain somebody else's life, which is carnivore species. Which means lions, leopards, or hyenas, they'll have feast available for them. But they're gonna hunt for that day. So looks like there we got a warthog also trying to come up or out. It's trying to hide behind that stump. With a piglet, female with a young one. Tiny little things. There's only one piglet left. There's impalas on the background. Warthog, they give birth to about sometimes 7, 8 piglets. You only see one running around with a mother. It means that something happened. And she's still trying to raise them all. So I'm going to carry on here, checking for the pride and the buffalo if they're around. I'm going to be sending you to a Yapi to say hello to everybody.
Good afternoon to all our viewers and welcome to And Beyond Ngala. And we start out, we just found this herd of wildebeest. And as you can see, jaws moving in a circular motion, some of them laying down. They're all facing different directions. And that's because of the heat. So they were using that patch of shade where they are, and they're all bundled up together. It's a really, really hot afternoon here on Ngala, and I'm Yapi. Behind the camera we've got BK, and this afternoon we thought we'd move towards the riverbed. We're going to move into the shadier parts of the reserve and then try and see if we can pick up on any fresh tracks of leopard. Now, there were reports of tracks of a female leopard and a cub earlier this morning, or, well, late morning, but earlier today, and we thought that we might go and investigate. Now, with something like that, the leopard is a very, very stealthy animal, and in the heat of the day it would have found a nice shady spot to hide and lay down unseen, just watching anything that might be coming past. And you can see most of the animals, like these wildebeest, have been hiding from the heat today. You can see that little one is laying down in the shadow of the adult. And look at that. Shame. It must be tough being a little wildebeest, only a few months old. You can see the colors already starting to change. So it's probably nearing about 2 months at this stage. I can also see a lot of scratching and grooming. You can see that wildebeest using the lower front teeth on the jaw to scratch itself. The tail's going, and that's because of the flies. And the flies are ever bothering in this particular part. In the African bush, in summertime, very, very hot, and lots of flies. I see there's one off to the right, busy feeding already. But most of the others are still chewing the cud, or re-chewing the food that they ate earlier. And when these animals lay down like this, during the heat of the day, this is their process of digestion, which involves the food fermenting in the first part of the stomach, and then they have to re-chew it to extract further nutrients and help break down the cellulose within the plant material more. But while these wildebeest are enjoying the shade, we might continue to some shade as well, and we'll send you over to Lauren and an eagle.
Here we have the most beautiful views of a brown snake eagle. Fastly becoming, it's moving up the ranks into my top 5. I'm thoroughly enjoying all the sightings we have of them. They can be confused with a juvenile black-chested snake eagle, and sometimes a batelier, which is also a type of snake eagle. The juvenile batelier, when they haven't got their adult plumage and they're still very brown in colour and they've got that bulbous head. You see the way the feathers are positioned, it makes it look like it's got quite a big, large head. So when you see it from a distance, those are the 3 that you might sort of think. As soon as you see those naked legs and you know they've not got feathers, you think, oh, okay, could be a brown snake eagle, juvenile black-chested snake eagle.
I'll be crossing into Vemisu.
Apologies, or a juvenile batelier. And then you've got to sort of take a closer look. Yellow eye, immediately. Brown chest, immediately you know that it's a brown snake eagle. The black-chested snake eagle does have yellow eyes too, but it's got different coloration on the front. And the batelier, of course, has unique plumage. You can see those feathers, the primary flight feathers on the wings are getting ready to change into a sort of grey barred colour. So either way, you can slowly get there, but that's the 3 species that you could be confused with. And the sexes are very alike, so I don't know if we're looking at a male or female here. But it's a very large raptor. It can weigh 2 kilograms, and it's the largest of all snake eagles. Snake eagles are not true eagles, but they're still raptors. Raptors all seize their prey with their talons and then tear it with that really sharp beak that we just had views of Okay, so we're going to continue our bumble south. We're going to send you across to Grant to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve, where it's a really cloudy afternoon. The wind is starting to blow a little bit, but it's quite pleasant. It's cooled off a little bit for us, and we found some giraffe. Sorry, I was just ducking out the way there. So my name is Grant, and behind the camera this afternoon is Owen. And yeah, we've come into the area where this female leopard we've been seeing quite a lot recently has been moving around the last few days. She was seen last night, but not this morning. And so just as we were driving the roads in her territory, we found this nice journey of giraffe, and a few have already gone out of our sight down into the valley. So we've just got these last 4 still following. And it's just really, really pretty scene. They are on the move and feeding every now and then. And it's a nice mixed group. There's mostly females, but there are a couple of bulls, some young and old bulls. Just look at that, the differences in colors. You see the different shades of their coats. But one thing that stands out are those white ears. And so, of course, those stand out for a reason. The reason being that giraffes, when they move through thicker areas, more especially females with youngsters, they will need that white to follow one another. But also when they come together like this in these little herds, the rest of their coat camouflages really well with their surroundings. So those white ears are really good markers. And those will help us as well. They can help us when we're looking for a leopard, because when a giraffe has spotted a leopard, or any predator for that matter, it will stop what it's doing and watch that predator very carefully. I'm just looking at that big dark bull now, Owen. He's got an old wound on his back. Jerome, a lone leopard take down a giraffe? Highly unlikely. Possibly a young calf. But a big adult like this, it's almost impossible. The giraffe is way too powerful and too big, and for a leopard to try to get at its neck. I mean, it physically would be able to climb up there. We know how good leopards are at climbing. But the giraffe would be able to carry on walking or running with the leopard attached to its neck. So, talking about leopards, Lauren has managed to find a leopard, so we're going to send you across to her.
On the one day that I say to Jarrett and FC that I'm not looking for leopards, what do we find? A leopard. Don't know who it is yet. I'm wondering if it may be Shadulu. We've literally just driven into the roads and this leopard is mobile. Let me see you. Yes, it's Shadulu. Miss Shadulu, how lovely to see you. And this is perfect because we had her last night, Davi and I, and she was injured by her daughter, Cara. Don't think it was severe. I really don't think it was any sort of injury that would cause ill effects on her, but Cara did draw blood. She's scent marking this fallen marula. It's lovely to have her this far east on Juma again. We're on the Hyena sort of Den Road, if you like. The Hyena Dam will not be active. That's not where we were planning on going. We were actually planning to get to Treehouse Dam. Oh. Wow, that must feel so good. Now, I hope she comes back on. Oh no, Shadulu, don't go into this block, please. I really hope she stays on the road. It'd be lovely if she went to Treehouse Dam. Let's just watch. When leopards are on patrol, it's very common for them to use roads. Here we go, she's coming back. I think it's Shadulu. Oh my God. Is that a steambog? My goodness, they've just come face to face with one another. It's a steambog. Yes, it's 100% Shadulu. She's now going to use the car. She's coming right to the car. She's going to use the car. She's going to go round. I can't believe this. She knows she was seen, but she also knows due to the vegetation she can navigate around us. Her kill was stolen last night by Cara, so I don't know how much of the kill she actually managed to eat. Hello, Duchess. You had a bad night last night, didn't you, girl? I love this leopardess. Oh, she's given up. She was spotted, and that's what leopards do. Once they're spotted, literally, they don't normally pursue. Because the prey are also skilled at escaping. The prey have evolved to escape. They also have good senses. Okay, Simon, let's keep up with Shadulu. There's no way that the predators can always catch the prey, or that the prey could always escape. It's a sort of arms race between the two of them. And normally once a leopard has been spotted, they just give up. They know it's not worth it. And there's absolutely no sign of that little steenbok anywhere now. So this track, which is actually now officially a road, I think it's going to be named soon. It's got a very lovely story coming very shortly. And it's now officially a road. It started off as a 2-track to get to the den, but because the hyenas have just stayed here and they're so prominent and they're so such a wonderful thing in the area, everybody wants to see them. This is now officially a road. And it's going to stay a road, but it's a very prominent game path for the predators. The lions use this a lot. Kalamba uses it. Shadulu uses it. I've found Molwati on this road. It's very prominent. It used to be a game path, but it's definitely now classified as a road. And just off to the left here, this is where the hyena dens are, den 2 and 3. So you see, it's definitely roads now. Okay, she's going to scent mark this tree again. Oh, she's definitely on patrol. I wonder if she's still a little bit angry at last night. She's heading straight to the dam. Shadulu is still mobile towards Treehouse Dam. You're all very happy to see her. What a spot of luck. Yes, you've got to love the spot puns. There was a few sort of vehicles this morning that thought Hukamuri crossed in as well. So Tingana's here, his tracks are everywhere around quarantine, and he also walked straight through our camp. And there's thoughts that Hukamuri might be on the reserve as well. He's not been found though, but there was other male tracks coming from Simbambili side. Now Tingana's been on Juma a few days now, so it can't be him. So the most likely candidate, I would guess, would be Hukamuri. Now we all say that the predators are flat during the day. Well, obviously not all. I'd rather not drive behind a leopard if I had the choice. You keep your distance, of course. But on a game path like this, we don't really have much choice. But we'll try and get around her if she stops to drink. You see how she's got her tail up like that, bent over? White flag, I come in peace. I'm not going to eat you, but I actually would. That's very much a sign of being on patrol. Our Duchess of the West. Safari lover, Cara is 2, born in the same month as Nzutini. December 2018, so she's 2. Not jet territorial, but independent, and that's really what last night was all about. Cara probably, and I'm speculating a little bit here because I wasn't there at the time of the fight, but Cara probably knew it was her mother and thought, okay, food. And then Shadulu probably acted very aggressively, and Cara responded aggressively. And the two of them were in the same marula tree when we arrived. Davi and I had 2 leopards in the same tree. It was unbelievable. But they're competitors now. It's sort of normal that female-related leopards, and we better go round. The mothers won't necessarily harm the daughters, just like Tandy and Kuchava. I think Tristan had a sighting recently. They'll snarl, they'll pant, lots of extra saliva. They'll sort of not be happy to see one another, but they'll avoid being aggressive. But somehow last night there was definitely a physical interaction. So we're at Treehouse Dam. I very much hope Miss Shadulu here is going to have a drink.
So we are still with these giraffe, and they've come down into a dry waterhole, and they're all standing in a line. If you look very carefully, okay, the one on the furthest left, he's now feeding on a buffalo thorn, but the one that's walking from your left to your right, he was actually eating a potato bush. So for those of you that have been out in the bush before, might have smelt the potato bush, and it is a tree that I have seen giraffes feeding on quite regularly, as well as other browsers. I've never tried to eat the leaves myself, but they actually don't have a smell themselves. It's quite a fascinating thing. If you pick the leaves, or they get these little seeds, which are their fruit. If you pick them and you crush them up and you try to smell if they have a smell, it doesn't really smell like anything. It just smells like a plant. But I think my next challenge is to try and taste one. And so you might have noticed the zebra stallion that's joined the giraffes, and a lone warthog boar. And they're all just going about their business. It is a little bit windy, so they are on alert, looking out for any danger. I mean, the whole bush is moving now, making noises, so they have to be super sharp. So she's crossed Treehouse Dam wall.
doesn't appear, unless she's going to go to the other side, which is in the shade, and nice and low down for her. Let's just watch to see where she goes. And maybe she's not thirsty. I mean, there's water everywhere. She's going to scent mark that bush. I don't know whether she's going to come down and drink or not. Come on, Shadula, you must be thirsty. I think she may be drinking. Okay, let's quickly reposition here. I'm going to give you long distance visuals, I hope. I don't even see her. Go forward, Simon sees her. There we go, yes. So she's at the complete other side of the dam, but she's having a drink. It's making me thirsty thinking of water. I can smell the water too. We always need to make sure we drink in between segments in this heat. And that wasn't a big drink. Okay, we better move, Simon. It is extremely easy to lose a leopard. She's heading straight for Gowrie Main, so she may cross out. But we'll follow her for as long as we can. She is. You see her, Simon? Okay, so we'll try and keep up with our Brizzy Duchess for as long as we can, but for now, across to Taylor to say hello.
Well, we've got an interesting sight here this afternoon. We have got two insects. They look like they're part of the Diptera order. I think they're both robber flies, in fact, but we'll take a closer look at them in just a moment. I'm probably going to have to page through my insect book. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Gert, and we are here at Pridelands Conservancy, which is a part of Baluli Game Reserve, as well as the Greater Kruger National Park. Now, it's a bit strange that I'm not starting the afternoon off with elephants, but we haven't even seen one yet, so we'll just take what we can get, and hopefully what we've taken is still there. Yes, it is. Now, while you all admire and take wonderful pictures or screenshots and hashtag Wild Earth with your findings on the various social media sites, I look forward to looking at them, because this is quite a cool thing to see. Now, I'm just quickly going to my insect book. 264 is the page that I need to go to. I just thought I'd have a look. Maybe I can get a specific idea on which robber fly it is. No, Taylor, that's too many numbers. Okay, so I'm on the right order. Anyways, so robber flies are known to be carnivorous, and they'll eat lots of different things. But of course, it seems like we've got a monster version. I've never seen this particular coloration either, and it's very, very interesting. Just having a look for the robber flies. Here we go. Robber flies, sure. Oh, wow. Okay, number 7. I think it's this one. I think. That was amazing that we managed to find it so quickly. Let's just have a quick look at this example, number 7, which is the pictured wing robberfly. It says it is medium-sized. Oh no, I think it's a bit bigger than that. I don't know, is it a bit too hectic? We're not zooming. Sorry everyone, we're not zooming anymore. Or are we? Ah, I can lift it up. There we go. That one over there. I think it's that one. Well, it looks the same. On its abdomen, it seems to have that sort of coloration, but I don't know if it is the right size because that looks quite big. Much bigger than what they're saying here. So I'm just going to page through. I'm just going to have to put the book down. Sorry. There we go. Let me just have a look and see if there's any other bigger ones. Wasp robberflies, spider robberflies, which we've definitely seen before. Yeah, I'm not really sure which one it is. The size is all wrong. Anyways, interesting nonetheless. And then we also have a roadblock. This is, of course, how we managed to find it. The elephants have pushed over a knobthorn, which is not really great at all. So, I wish we could get a little bit closer, but I think if I drive the vehicle any closer, unfortunately, we are going to disturb those things. Sorry, I think we're having a bit of trouble with our camera, so we're going to try and fix that all out, and I'm going to send you off to the Sabi Sand, I think.
Thanks, Taylor. Good luck. We now have reestablished the location of this male lion from this morning, because this is actually where now we came and begin about search for the whole entire pride that we believe they might be around, because their track were not far from where he was found this morning. It's so cool that, he moved from there, but he find himself a little bit of a watering hole. But there's still no pride yet. Still only by himself. And he's still painting, because his scenes actually this morning was a lot full. And he's getting better and better. Digesting taking place there. So we will search around here. Hopefully we get to see something else coming into the area, or now there's a zebra coming in. But yeah, I'm going to be, in the meantime, while we stationary around here, see what's going to happen. I'm going to be sending you to the ground.
Look who we found. She literally actually came to us. I couldn't believe it. We were still watching those giraffes, and the one giraffe, we were just talking about him seeming to be a little bit crazy. Every now and then he'll just get excited and have a little trot. And we were still watching them. They're down in the opposite valley. And I looked in the other direction, and she was literally walking on the road straight towards us. Look at her behavior. See how she's got her head quite low to the ground, or her nose quite low to the ground? She's definitely on the scent of something. We actually just passed some warthogs. There were 2 warthogs and 2 little piglets that darted across the road onto the side of the road that she was on before, not the side that she's on now. So they've gone away. I don't know if they maybe spotted her or smelt her, but I think she might lead us to something. See how she's sniffing the ground? Oh, and she might even give the vehicle a bit of a sniff. Okay, I'm just going to turn around for us quickly. While I turn, I'm going to send you across to Andrew with some lions.
So we're still stationary here, but there's a company now of the zebra that they actually decided to get close by to this male here, but he hasn't yet heard them. So they seems to be now avoiding the area, moving far away from us. Although they probably smelled him. Oh, now he's probably maybe heard some of footstep, and he's up, his head up. So the zebra looks like totally disappeared. Quickly, immediately they realize there's something wrong here. It's always so important for prey species. Sometimes they have a good sense of smell. Chance that they would know immediately if something wrong, and they disappeared. So you wouldn't mind having it a go for another prey species if it's available, or even scavenge while it's still full from other cats, from other maybe hyenas. Now later, it's gonna drink and probably focusing on finding the girls where they have gone into. Alright, so it looks like all zebra gone. So we're gonna take a look around in its shadow. Hopefully we find the bride. I'm gonna be sending you across to Phinda with a leopard.
We're still with our leopard, everyone, and she seems to be on the scent of something. See that? Look at that. She's got her nose down to the ground. Now, thinking back to when those warthogs ran across the road, it was somewhere around here. So she's moved from where we first saw her, about 150 meters or 100 meters by now, just following the scent. Look at that tail twitching. And thinking back to those warthogs, I did notice that they all had some very black mud on them. Pretty smelly mud, which is what I think she's on the scent of. And just like we were talking about with those giraffes, you'll just notice as she moves through that white patch, just the tip of the tail. You see it just twitching through the trees there? Have you got it, Odie? And so for us now, it helps us to follow her, but that's not its purpose. It's more especially for her when she's got youngsters. Also, if a male is trying to find her to mate with her. And I'm a bit afraid to move because I have a feeling our signal may drop. Matt, thanks for the question. So, male leopards, do they share territory with females? Yes, they do, technically, but that's not really how it works. But they do not compete, males and females, for territory. So the same sexes compete, so males compete with other males, females compete with other females. She looks like she's coming back to the road. I'm just going to sit tight. One of the other rangers is busy following her, and we'll see if maybe she comes back to the road. But to get back to your question, with males, they compete with other males, females compete with other females. But what happens is a male's got a big territory, and within his territory there'll be a few females' territories. I actually did this drawing for some guests the other day, and it's pretty rough, so excuse my drawing skills, but I'm going to put on the steering wheel for Odie. And you'll see on this drawing, it's a very rough drawing, but these bigger circles, those bigger ones there, those will represent a male's territory. And then the smaller circles that all cross, there'll be another one there. But you'll see the smaller circles, they will not cross. So those smaller ones will be females. And a male can have as many as 5 females within his territory. But where it becomes tricky is like the males will not cross territories. They will have their strict boundaries. But the females, their territories will cross over a number of males' territories. And when it comes to her offspring, the female will have to make sure that she mates and has some kind of relationship or bond with the male, with all the males. And so she will actually mate with all of the males. And sometimes it'll be a pseudo-estrus, and sometimes it'll be an actual estrus. So it's really tough to tell which male is the father. But the reason she does that is because all of those males feel invested in her and they feel that they might be the father. And so that's pretty much a very rough explanation of how the leopard's territories actually work. Hope you were able to make that out from my drawing. So it seems like the leopard has come back to the road. And we're going to try and see if we can catch up with her. Just judging by Matt, who's the other ranger who's with us, Matt's car is reversed a little bit back, and she's in one of the trees that we see her, well, she's close to, the last time we saw her, close to one of the trees that she regularly goes up into, and I suspect she's gone up into there. This big saffron tree. Now we have experienced a few dips in our signal here, so I do apologize if we disappear. At the back. Yes, Jerome. The leopard population in Phinda is very healthy. There's a yawn. Oh, look at that. She's getting up into a position where she's got a nice vantage point. And she's just scanning. So remember, she's really low to the ground. If you, at her tallest, her eyes are probably at about 60 centimeters off the ground. So climbing a tree like this gives her a nice elevation. Remember, with summer now, the grasses have gotten quite green and quite long, and so it's more difficult for her to see. When she's on the ground. So we do see leopards going up into trees this time of year. And you see how she's just scanning in all directions with her ears poked in the direction that she's busy looking. And to get back to your question, Jerome, the population of leopards is really good on Phinda. That being said, we don't see too many of them, and that goes back to what I was saying about the bush being really thick. Most of the leopards, they don't see a lot of cars because they spend a lot of time up on the mountains in very thick drainage lines, and so when they do see a car, it's foreign, very unusual and foreign to them, and they feel it's a threat. And only over time do they eventually realize that we're not a threat. But so most of the leopards on Phinda we don't actually see. But for a 28,000 hectare property, we estimate that we have around about 25 to 30 adult leopards on Phinda. The last survey that Panthera did on Phinda with camera traps revealed 16 adult females and 9 adult males. Lisa, thank you for your question. And the answer is no. They actually have got very unique spot patterns. Each leopard's spots are different. So if you notice on this leopard, just above her whisker line, oh, I think she's seen what she's after. She's got 3 little spots just to the right of her nostril. Okay, she's looking away from us for now, so we'll look at her body. But you see those spots that we talk about, they're actually rosettes, and most of them are open spots, so like a very obscurely shaped circle with some gaps in between those black lines, and in the middle of the circle, some of them are open, but some of them are solid black dots, and that pattern on the leopard's body is completely unique to each leopard, and so that is how we would be able to determine the population of leopards on Phinda. And so Panthera does camera trap surveys where they put cameras on the reserve, on roads and on game trails, and it'll be on either side, so on the left and right hand side of the road or game trail. And oh, she's going to climb down. And so when we get a photograph from the camera trap from the left and the right of the leopard, we are able to use those unique markings on the left and right hand side of the leopard to identify the different animals. So we're going to try and stick with her for now. She is still moving, and let's hope that she finds what she's looking for.
I am David. I come to you live every day from the Mara Triangle all the way in East Africa. My favorite animal in African wilderness is the lion. Lions, here in the African wilderness, I call them kings of the jungle because in general they're always up there while they control the savannas of Africa.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique Wild Earth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient Kortai's Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with Wild Earth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on Wild Earth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on Wild Earth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Miss Shadulu here is rather uncomfortable, as we all are. We've actually positioned ourselves in the shade, which is necessary, and Shadulu's positioned herself in the shade. But I don't think she'll stay still for long, knowing this cat. If you're a duchess, you've got to be very busy. There's lots of things to do. But for now, we'll try and stick with her. She had a drink, she quenched her thirst. She's now in the shade and she's panting, which is just an automatic response. It's just breathing, it's a respiratory function. But of course, she's just increasing it. So the inhalation and the exhalation, she's obviously able to do more frequently with her mouth open. And that means she's pumping air in and out of her mouth. Humans can do the same, just won't look very nice. And she's cooling down. The wetness of her mouth and the saliva is evaporating. And this is, in effect, drawing heat away from the body. She's obviously been very active, very mobile, scent marking, and they do say for a male leopard, at least when they're on patrol, it takes up to 26% of their energy budget. That's a male. And therefore, she'll need to rest. It's exhausting, especially in this heat, walking from tree to tree, scent marking. I don't actually know when she crossed into Djuma. There's also a chance she could be pregnant again. She lost a litter or two, which was very sad. But commonplace out here, I'm afraid. And she may be pregnant again. She was seen mating with Hukumuri, her old flame, and she was seen with tortoise pan male, but I'm not sure if they were seen mating or not. I think they were. So there's a chance she could be pregnant again. And that's normal. Once a female loses a litter, it's normal to come into estrus again. Sort of through hormonal cues, start mating again in order to get ready to reproduce again. Belinda, most sort of organisms, or at least females, do until they reach the very end of their life. From when they become sexually mature, of course, until they reach the end of their life. And it all depends on what age they become sexually mature, the gestation period, the lactation period, and the sort of rearing period. How long do their offspring stay with them? And look at Tandy. Tandy's 14, which is very old for a leopardess. And she's obviously got a young son. So yes, they will come into estrus until the end of their life. For the females. And the males as well. Look at Tungana. I mean, he's also 14. He's believed to be a little bit nomadic now. And he will still mate, absolutely. He was seen mating with Nsele not so long ago, a handful of months ago. So they will reproduce until the end of their life. But for a female, I know that I think it was Grant just discussing territories a little bit earlier. For a female, access to resources is very, very, very important. You are the one that has to go through the pregnancy, then birth, then lactation to ensure that your cubs go big and strong quickly because they're born altricial. Then rear them, raise them, teach them, hunt for them, while continuing your normal activities such as territorial patrol. So it's exhausting for a female leopard, and they will eat and drink a lot more during these periods. I could be wrong, but I feel like the heat's broken a little bit. There's a little bit of relief in the air. We've got to that time of day. It's 5 p.m. here. Jack, generally speaking, the most common number is 2 on average, but leopards normally have around 2 to 3, but they can sort of have 4. And the normal litter that I see from leopards, generally, at least here in the sands, is 2. That's the average number. But of course, the more offspring you have, the more investment. The survival rate is already very low for the cubs. They have so much to worry about. There's no one else to protect the offspring. Only mom. No paternal care from the father, and absolutely no other members of the species. No pride, no pack. PG Chem, you would normally, it goes from cubs to subadult to adult. And adult would be when they reach independence, or when at least they become sexually mature. I think sexually mature is a better age bracket to go on. And normally, once they're sort of over the lactation period, they're not relying on mom so much, you would start to call them a sub-adult. So they're still young, they're still a juvenile, they're still with mom, they're definitely not an adult yet, but you would just refer to them as a sub-adult. So for example, Tandy's son, there's lots of vehicles in this sighting. Tandy's son would be classified as a sub-adult now. There's just a little bit of a movement of vehicles here, everyone. I'm sorry if it's a little bit loud. Doesn't seem to bother Shadulu at all, though. Now, leopards are actually classified as sexually dimorphic, and what does that mean? It means that in terms of physical characteristics, they're different. How are they different? Well, it's size. The males are so much bigger than the females, really substantially bigger. Not similar in size, and in that way, they're sexually dimorphic. The sun's going to be touching her soon, which means she may get up and move. She will get up and move. And going back to sort of breeding in leopards, they're non-seasonal breeders, really. They can give birth all year round. And it benefits them to have an offspring old enough as summer hits. But because of Shadulu's situation, she had a litter, she gave birth to a pair of cubs and lost them. Therefore, she went straight back into estrus again. So they're non-seasonal breeders. And they reach sort of sexual maturity at different ages, which is very common in a lot of organisms. Males will reach sexual maturity first because there's not a big investment. I mean, sperm is not as energetically costly to produce as an egg. And therefore, they tend to reach sexual maturity first. Look at hyenas. The males are ready to go at 2, the females wait till 3, 4. And within leopards, normally sort of a 2.5, 3, I would say 3 for the Sabi Sands, you'll find that males become sexually mature, but it's normally once they've started to become territorial. It's all linked, it's all to do with hormones. Set up your territory, there's a rise in testosterone levels, your features will start to change, you'll start to become more of a man, should I say. You'll start to soar, your dewlap will develop, and that will bring on the onset of you being ready to be sexually mature. And for females, it's normally between 3 years or 4. I don't know, Danny. I'm not sure how we would possibly know that unless they were in captivity. I really have no idea. I would imagine if there was something biologically wrong, but I doubt that that genetic trait would be passed on. There's no point in having an organism that can't reproduce. So maybe if there's something biologically wrong, that leopard would possibly not make it, so that that gene cannot be passed on. If it can't reproduce, then it can't. But I really don't know. I think the only way that we could know that would be to see that happen in captivity. Out in the wild, it's very difficult to track. Just going flat. I'm thinking about going for a little bumble as long as there's another vehicle here to keep their eye on her. Yes, let's go and take a look at the dam. I don't even know if we can see any spots of that leopard. Okay, I'm going to sit at the dam for a little while. Let's see if we can spot anything there, and hopefully soon Shadulu will get up. But for now, over to Andrew.
Good luck, Lauren. And yeah, we actually was busy searching around here. And no sign of the tracks. Done a bit of off-roading. There's no sign of the bride. So maybe we believe that maybe whenever it's cooled off a bit later, it might maybe come back or come out. Started to hunt, maybe do the evening activities. And there's not even, we saw the buffalo tracks crossing back into Beverly's Hook, but there is no further tracks crossing anywhere from the dam of these buffaloes. So, and oh, our man lines up. Because actually we're not far from where we just left him, so we just come back. We done a big loop around, and now we just probably defecating. So we'll check again. Probably maybe head in there. Just gonna reposition here, get close to him there, see what he is up to. Maybe he's gonna move around, started to move around in his condition. He's gotta rely on her girls because the girls hunt more than him. So he has to find them wherever they are. So for Everai, you're asking if lions do climb trees. Lions do climb trees, and they actually heavy cats for sure. When they climb that tree, they gotta make sure it's gotta be a tree with a lot of frogs, branches not far, and up height. And it's this way they have access to steal from leopard kill. If there's a kill not far, height enough, lions will always steal that. They actually climb. It's only hard for them to come down because they're not good at coming down. They have to jump from that height. So I'm gonna direct somebody here coming in. He's probably whether he's gonna drink. Or what he just drank.
I mean, it's on the...
So...
you see them on the list. Coffee, I think that's my first name.
Okay, I'm gonna take another position again. Abel, you're driving past me here. If you look on your left, you should see my vehicle there. I go to Motorangala.
Very cool, actually.
Just gonna see how he take a drink. Maybe this is gonna be big movement for him. Can hear him actually taking waters. So the tongue scoop water. So there's a system. If we can take it that silent movement, listen to what he does there, drinking. Dear watcher, so he's saying, what a big drink. Indeed, for such a big tummy like this. And he's probably been lying down there. All he does was just lazy to come to drink. But what forces him now, because he wanted to defecate, and then at the same time, he thought of coming to drink. He's going to go probably lie down again in a shade for a long time. Just gone down again. Flat. So Jerry asking if is everything okay with his male line. So he's all okay. He's probably had a female last night, I believe, because there was a discovery here. The tracks of the female, they were actually behind buffaloes. And it happens that he find himself separated, or they might kill something small that actually he had a lot of power to take it from the bride. So I think that's what happened. And once he'd taken something small from the bride, all they do, they have to move away without him. And then he will be finally left behind because he's still consuming, feeding on. Beautiful all the water right here. So he has a beautiful watering hole in the middle of this wood. But then he's so camouflaged. If you don't know he's around here, then you won't know. He's up. There's another vehicle on the far side. I'm gonna take another moment here to see if maybe you would do anything else, or you're just gonna lie down.
So we went down to that riverbed where they had the leopard tracks, and unfortunately we didn't find anything. We also had to leave that area due to some signal issues. Oops, gave that bird a little bit of a fright. But from here we are heading up towards a watering hole. And we're gonna go see, there might be some hippos there. And I'm really hoping that because of the heat, animals might come down to come and have a drink at the moment. And a herd of elephants would be really nice. If not, I'm sure there might be some bird life that we'll have a look at. And maybe even some vultures on the trees nearby. But we've only seen a lot of signs of elephants this afternoon. I know that there's also been a herd of buffalo in and around this area, but other than that, it's been really, really quiet. Unfortunately, it's been so hot. Every now and again when a cloud moves in front of the sun, it does give a little bit of a break of that heat. So the general game is quite lethargic, laying down. Oh, and there's some waterbuck. How amazing is that? Nice large female.
Welcome back, everyone. We've just managed to catch up with the same female leopard. She's been hunting, been quite active, trying to get at a herd of impala, and we have had a few technical difficulties, but we're back, and we've just found her again. We tried to give as much distance between us and her when she was busy hunting, because us moving around while she's hunting draws attention in her direction. So we tried to watch from a distance, and she seems to have given up, because what's happened is I think she was unaware of a troop of monkeys up on the mountain, the mountain is just on the other side of this tree that she's in, and they spotted her and they gave their alarm, and all the impalas she was busy stalking took off. And we can just every now and then hear the monkeys shouting at her. Which is what caused her to give up her hunt. So we'll just see where she settles, because she is still a little bit restless, but I'm quite convinced she's going to take a break now, because she's been quite active. She's covered a little bit of ground from where we first found her to now, to here. Oh, but she is still definitely looking around. And once again, she's in a saffron. You'll see the very sort of tangled canopy. Bright green leaves, and then almost a white stem. Now, leopards definitely do prefer certain trees. So this leopard as well, I think she's also got her own sort of preferences, and I do think it differs from one leopard to the other. Which tree they prefer and which species of tree they prefer. And this particular leopard, she likes to go up these Transvaal saffrons. I think they... she got a fright from a cicada. There was a cicada in the tree. It flew out. I thought something actually stung her. She's going right up. So we're just trying to wait for her to settle down, and then we'll try getting a nicer view, because she does seem pretty restless. But yeah, so to get back to the question, Ganalf, the saffron trees for this leopard, and then they also do like marula trees. Leopards in general prefer marula trees just because of the structure of the tree. So it's got very sturdy bark, and it's got usually just got one straight stem that comes up from the base, or comes up from the ground, and then from that main stem it branches out, and it's got really nice horizontal branches, because remember that when they lie down, they want to lie on something flat. They can't, and most trees, growth shape or growth form is to grow up, and then the branches branch off and go sort of diagonally, always chasing the sunlight. But marula trees have a different kind of growth form, and they get horizontal branches. These saffrons as well, their branches kind of go in all directions. Some of them I've even seen actually go back down. That branch between us and the leopard now, there's one that curves down towards the ground again. And especially at the I don't know I can't remember what the technical term is for it, but at a point where branches meet, or where branches grow from, the main branches I'm talking about, it almost makes like a little bowl or a nest, and we've seen her in those forks of the trees quite regularly. She's really exploring this tree. I've just seen her leg flop down the side, which is a pretty good sign that she's found a comfortable branch. Yeah, she has. She's flopped over a horizontal branch, which means she's found a spot to rest. So we're going to try. We're going to just try to go around to the front of her to get a look at her face. We'll see what kind of angle we can get on her. So you might see as I swing to the in front of me the mountain, and the monkeys, we had a look, they're quite close to the top of the mountain. Pretty phenomenal eyesight that they were able to spot her. That I've seen here, that we can try for starters. Just bear with me here. Stop like that, Odie. And there it is. Classic. Legs are flopped over the sides. Rosalind is asking how often leopards hunt. So it does depend on the size of the meal and how full they're able to get from their last meal. So Sorry, Andrew, are you calling me?
Sorry about that, Pinda. Well, we've got to still have our beautiful male now. Now we've taken that position where we can see also fully structure of the front of him, the head and the eyes. And also the dark mane that you see as the best is named dark mane, one of the Avoca male. by tomorrow, I think that all of his digestion is about now doing. It's going to be probably reduced. Tummy is going to be nice and flat again. So keeping an eye on us. It's probably a fly that is bothering him. Jerry, so you're asking if it's true that you can age lion by looking at its nostrils. You can. Usually what you see, pink nostrils, and you know that animal still at the juvenile age of 3 years, 4 years, females and the young male, their nostrils is not completely dark then. But then age of 5.5, 6 years, it changed dark, so that animal is fully grown in that time. So we're looking at the fully grown male over here. It looks like he's finding it very hard for him to be able to balance his body painting. Lion, when food is available at that time, they eat so much. Jack, so you're asking, why do lion have a mane? So only females have a mane, and only lions have a mane, not a leopard, not a jaguar, not a tiger. So white lions also have mane, the male. But I think it's also to display their feature of being a male, must look different, or the king of the jungle. So when the food is available, they eat so much that until their lungs always shift, kind of like squeeze a lot. And then for them to breathe normally is very difficult, so they need to paint, open their mouth. And that's how they're able to do that, painting every now and then. Stimulate their body. He just throws himself down, just like that. looks like he's not having a comfortable time here with his buffalo flies that is biting on him. So I'm gonna take more time, since it's getting a lot cooler, and take my chances, look around for the bride, or for anything we're gonna come across. I'm gonna be sending you across to Phinda.
Okay, it seems like we're back. Sorry that you lost us earlier. I got cut off while I was answering Rosalind's question, which was about how often leopards hunt. And I'd said that it depends on the size of the meal. And so I was also saying I'm not too sure what you got, but I'll just repeat it. This leopard is probably around about 40 kilograms. And what's pretty amazing is that she can eat about 10 to 12 kilograms. She can fit into her stomach. And if she manages to get something that she is able to completely fill her stomach, she won't have to eat for a very long time, maybe 4 or 5 days. But the thing is with leopards, they are opportunistic. So once she's had a meal and she's got a full belly, then she might set off on a territorial patrol. But during that patrol, if she's walking on a game trail and she manages to spot something up ahead, she will try and stalk it and catch it, even though she's still got a full tummy, and she will be able to eat that carcass or whatever the next kill. She would be able to eat it once she's digested a little bit of her food from her previous meal. So they've got incredibly fast metabolisms, and as soon as there's a little gap in her stomach, she will want to eat again. But things like, it depends also, Rosalind, what you consider a hunt, because she will catch little birds that will literally be 2 bites, something like a francolin or maybe a guinea fowl, which will not completely fill her tummy. So yeah, I mean mice, I've seen them catching, well, I'm sure a lot of you have seen on Wild Earth as well, catching things like scrub hares, which are small meals which can sustain them for quite a long time. So we have come around to the other side of this leopard to see if we could get a view, and she was facing towards us. And it seems like she didn't really enjoy the position she had, and she's gotten up and turned around. Yeah, and that's a really good question, and I feel very relevant to Phinda. Is hoisting a standard procedure for leopards? And on Phinda, it's very, very rare that we see a leopard hoisting a kill, unless there's hyenas immediately around when they make the kill. They are highly unlikely to hoist a kill. And there's debate about what the reason may be. My opinion, and from what I've experienced so far on Phinda, is that the leopards on Phinda don't actually really need to hoist their kills, because they don't have to protect their kills from the scavengers. So they will usually have enough time, once they've made a kill, to get a full belly. They will still drag a kill from an open area into a thicket, and then a combination of factors come into play. The one is Phinda's vegetation is in most places very, very thick, and so a leopard can hide its kill quite easily from scavengers. So if you look around me, I mean, we're in a relatively open area, but this is not what most of Phinda is like. There's lots of drainage lines with very thick areas, and so a leopard can quite easily hide its kill from scavengers. So that's the one thing, is that they don't often get stolen by predators. Most of the time we see a leopard completely finishing its kill, whether it's an Inyala or an Impala. And that's just because it's so thick, it's so hard for those scavengers to find the kill. And then the second reason is what I've seen and just what I feel with leopards is they don't mind if it actually gets stolen from them because of the abundance on Phinda. There's huge numbers of animals, of antelope species, and there's lots of good cover. And so what we've seen is that the leopards are quite successful with hunting, and so they are almost not fazed if their kill gets stolen by something like a hyena or even lions, because they know it's not worth it to defend it. They'll themselves run up a tree, make sure that they stay safe, but then they know they can just try and hunt again, and the chances are they will be successful. So I'm going to try and get another view or another position to show you this leopard and send you across to Lauren in the meantime.
I think we may have a spotted joker. I may need some of your help. I think this could be a spotted joker. If it is, it's the first one for me this year, this season. Thank goodness it's spread open its wings for us. Now we left Shidulu, we're going back, don't worry, but it's important that we let other vehicles have a view as well. And of course she was flat. And we actually came in search of something fascinating that was called in on the radio, but I think we got here too late. And it was bandied mongoose, which is very unusual for Djuma. I've seen them up in the Masai Mara, and you do get them here, but it's not a common sighting for us here, at least in this part of the Lowveld. But sadly, we can't spot them anymore. They must have gone into the long grass. But we have stopped to admire this butterfly. Spreading open its wings, soaking up the sun. Normally, during the really hot parts of the day when we are not active, that's when you'll find that butterflies are extremely active. Has he flown off? If any of you can identify that, hashtag Wild Earth, I think it was a spotted joker, but I'm very out of touch. I need to get back into my butterflies, but it just does not stop raining leopards here. Okay, so because we didn't get lucky with those mongoose, I'm afraid. We tried. We've been up and down this road, up and down. They've obviously just moved off. We shall go back to Shidulu. I think it's getting a little bit cooler now, which means she may be getting mobile very, very shortly. That's exactly what we want. We want to see her. I would have loved to have seen those mongoose. I'm annoyed at myself. I think I've seen bandied in Djuma once in my 2.5 years here, and then I spent a lot of time with them up in the Masai Mara. So it really is an unusual sighting. We see the dwarfies everywhere. The slenders, believe it or not, we do see them everywhere. They're just notoriously difficult to get on camera. They're obviously very long and slender, with a long, slender tail, but they're very shy. We have a little family living in front of our house, so we see them a lot. And of course, the white-tailed mongoose, they are nocturnal. So you will only really see them at night time once the sun goes down. We had a fantastic sighting with them the other day, though. And they're the sort of the most common mongoose you'll find out, at least in this area. But I'll keep checking this area again, and maybe one day we'll get lucky and we'll see those bandied species again. Sorry, this road is terrible. I am having to cling onto my seat. There we go. Okay, so if any of you do know that butterfly, please let me know. But for now, I'm going to head back to Shidulu.
This is Rusty. He's my favorite vehicle, and we've been through all the good times here in the bush. Now, if you feel a connection to Djuma Game Reserve like I do, then we have a fantastic opportunity for you. You can have your name engraved on a brushed metal plaque just like this one, and we will attach it to Rusty so you can always be with us on safari in spirit. We will even send you a digital photograph once your plaque is mounted on Rusty. Spaces are limited, so grab your spot now.
Goodness, look at its wobbly legs. Oh, I don't believe it. I can't believe we've actually seen it. Oh my goodness. Oh, careful, careful, careful. Oh no. Oh, it's okay, little one. Okay.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Hello everyone, I am Yapi and I am a safari guide at Anbion Ngala. My favorite animal is the lion because 99% of the time it doesn't do anything. And the 1% of the time it does, it's just awesome.
Catch up with the guides daily here on Wild Earth. Have you been watching Wild Earth and dreamt of being right there on safari with one of the guides? Well, now you can. Wild Earth is offering you a chance to buy a ticket to dream. You or a friend can hop on board a live Wild Earth show and join our guide on safari. The ticket is redeemable at any of our locations, anytime in the future. Only a limited number of tickets are available, so don't wait. Get your ticket now and start dreaming. Terms and conditions apply.
So this is about the best window we've been able to get to see this leopard's face for now. And she looks very comfortable. When she was lying facing towards us in our previous spot, she kept lifting her head up and trying to adjust herself and lifting her legs up and then shifting her weight. And then she decided to just get up and turn around. And it almost seems like she's managed to find a little spot to curl up. I think with her legs hanging down the way she had them earlier, there is a little breeze blowing. The wind's dropped off quite a bit. But with her legs hanging down, I think she was starting to get a little bit cold. And when she lay down in this position that she's in now, initially she was kind of curled up into a ball like a like a cat or like a little domestic cat, but I think that is because she was cold. Now she's seems to have settled down a little bit more and gotten comfortable, and her head's been down with her eyes closed for probably the last 4 or 5 minutes. Hard work stalking impalas, trying to follow warthogs. Oh, her eyes are open now. She's just staring down at the ground. So I think from here, guys, we are going to leave her to rest. She's found a very comfortable spot here in the tree. She probably will get a little bit more active again this evening, but the position she's in now, she's going to be resting here for the foreseeable future. Remember, while she's sleeping like that with her eyes closed, her ears and her nose are still functional, so she will wake up if she hears something or smells something, especially with this breeze blowing. And we are in an area, and this is where those impalas were earlier, and this is a place where lots of the daytime animals like to come out and rest because it's a little bit more open. And so what might happen is, as it starts to get later and starts to get dark, the animals that have been feeding in the thickets and a little bit of a distance away from this area, they might come out of those areas they've been feeding and try to find a place to settle down in these open clearings. And that's the opportunity that she is looking for. So she might hear them moving through the bushes, or if they come from downwind of her, she might smell them. And she's got a perfect vantage point, so whatever alerts her, whatever wakes her up, she will be able to scan around, see where it is, and even plan a route to try to stalk those animals. Kira, leopards mostly hunt at night, so what we saw now, her following the scent of some animals and actually trying to stalk some impalas, was quite unusual. It could be because of the weather conditions, so we've got quite a lot of cloud cover, it's quite dark, but more typical of leopards is to hunt at night. More typical behavior of leopards is to hunt at night. But with this female, I have mentioned she is quite young and she is still relatively small. She might grow a little bit more, but she's close to fully grown, but she's still quite young and inexperienced. And with her especially, we see her moving around during the day a lot more than other leopards. And that might be because she's trying to avoid those bigger predators and those other dangers to her. Sibu, I'll get your visual on Main Road. Just keep driving Main Road. So they will mostly hunt at night. They've got far superior eyesight at night than their prey. Their eyes are adapted for seeing at night, and so they have the advantage over their prey. But again, opportunistic, so they definitely can hunt during the day. Jerome, I've never seen that. I would love to see something like that. But I have seen videos of leopards up in big marula trees or other kinds of trees, and impalas feeding below and coming closer and closer to the tree, and the leopard actually dropping down onto the impala from above. That's quite a risky strategy though, because she's dropping, or he would be dropping down towards the horns, so it is a risky strategy. And also all the antelopes are quite aware of the fact that leopards sleep up in trees, so they do keep a lookout for leopards up in trees. They will check for any danger before going under a tree for shade. So it would have to be a very thick tree, a tree with a very thick canopy of leaves, so that the leopard would be very well hidden or camouflaged in the tree. And yeah, then the impala might not be able to spot it and go under the tree. So they definitely do, and they are able to ambush their prey from in the tree. So as I was saying earlier, she's not showing too much sign of doing anything else for now. So we're going to leave her here to sleep. And I'm going to send you across to Yapi and Ngala whilst we go and look for maybe some nocturnals.
So we went to the watering hole. We didn't have any luck there. But we moved back to this herd of waterbuck, and there's two young ones like this one, and have a look. So it's looking in our, or it looks like it's looking in our direction. You can see the nose is up, you can see the nostrils flaring, and And that's because the wind's coming from that direction, and the rest of the herd moved off in that direction. We saw a big male, a couple of females. And we haven't seen that many waterbuck lately on Ngala, which is quite strange actually. There's a lot of water around, but then again also these blocks are so big and there's not a lot of roads here, so these animals can hide here quite easily. Now it would be interesting to see what this little waterbuck does if it moves back towards the rest of the herd, because there's another young one that's moved out of sight now, but it went off into the long grass. And you can see it's getting pestered by the flies. There we go, there's the other one. And staring at us through the thick bush. That's amazing. The waterbuck with its dull coat easily blends in into thick bush, and it can hide away really, really well. I think I'm going to reposition a little bit, see if we can get a better view of it. The waterbuck here, they tend to be quite nervous around vehicles. And funnily enough, the males more so than the females. And I know in this particular area there's been 2 male waterbucks lately fighting over territory here. Ooh. There we go, quite a few. Neva, I'm very glad to hear that you love waterbuck. So do I. I think they're really, really beautiful antelope. The fact that they look so much different. And have a look, you can actually see the sunlight falling on that waterbuck's eye, and you can see the brown ochre color and the elongated pupil. Now, one of the theories for antelopes having such elongated pupils is for a wider view or a wider angle that it can see at. So while it's feeding, while it's looking off in a different direction, it might be able to pick up on movement from the corner of the eye. And have a look at the tails go. Quite a thin tail for an antelope, or compared to some of the others in this area, with a little tuft at the end. The perfect fly swatter. And you can see the longer fur on the coat. Now, with this male waterbuck being in this area, only see the one jack. What do waterbuck eat? They eat grass this time of the year. They mainly eat grass, and you often find them in the areas with grasses that's not so sought after by other antelopes. You can find some impalas with them, but then again, impalas are also well adapted to eat anything really. I think I might move a little bit forward again, see if we can get one more different angle. waterbuck. It's amazing how that longer fur, the white fur that sticks out below the neck and on the flanks, kind of make the animal disappear perfectly into the longer flowering grass. We can see she's got a nice big mouthful of grass, and it's cooled down sufficiently. So at the moment, these waterbuck, as well as the impalas in this area, they are going to be eating for a while. And they're mainly going to grab as much or eat as much as possible before it gets to the point where they'll rest somewhere nearby. And then tonight, I think, will be quite an interesting night with predators prowling around the nearby watering hole. But we're gonna send you over to Andrew with his elephants, and we're gonna continue along to search the nearby riverbed.
Thanks, Yappy. We got in our herd of elephants, and they're all coming down from that damn wall. Some of them are still in the damn wall going up. There's quite a few of them here with the young one. Elephants, they are so social animal. Spend time in a group, keep moving, get the food, change place to another for a change. Oh yeah, we've got impalas also in the area. Where impala always make a room for the bigger animal to exit through since they're so small. That was all about communications. Maybe a small group somewhere. Now they're trying to figure out where are they. Charlotte, so you say you love elephants. You will really love elephants. They're so cool animal on their own environment, and they do the best. Just spend time watching them, then you'll finally fall in love with them. The way they do, the way they communicate, the way they take care of one another in the herd.
Sorry about Andrew, everyone. We've just been watching this giraffe and he's really injured. I don't know. Hold on, Sai. If I just go here, he's not... Oh, Yauchi, it's... It's quite a bad one on his legs. There's 2 huge open wounds, swollen, bleeding. Oh, dear. I'm sorry, boy. What happened? I wonder what happened. I could only think lion. This is not where giraffes harm one another. They sort of club each other using the ossicones around the rib cage, the neck and the chest, not the leg like that. But he's walking fine, a little bit... a minor limp, but he is walking fine. Don't like seeing injured animals. And of course the oxpeckers. The issue with oxpeckers, of course, they have a symbiotic relationship with animals.
Since we're almost at Zarima, I can see the power line.
Okay, Shadulu's about to cross. And they always thought it was mutual. The oxpeckers get food when they eat the ticks, and the giraffes, or any herbivore, any large herbivore really, is getting the ticks removed. They're getting a bit of a shower. It's a win-win. But is it? Always got to look a little bit closer, and most science now said that it's more parasitic than mutual. You get different types of symbiosis, and they end up keeping wounds open. I don't see any oxpeckers on the leg this now, but they end up keeping wounds open, transmitting bacteria into wounds from animal to animal, and also promoting infection by not allowing the wound to close and heal. They, of course, drink the blood. So if any animal has an injury, be a hippo, a giraffe, a kudu, a rhino, the oxpeckers are known to go right for that blood. They'd be called the sort of new age vampires. So if they promote infection, they don't allow the wounds to heal, they're essentially weakening the animal's immune system over time. That's definitely not mutual. So that's a worrying thing for animals like giraffes, who normally have quite a high number of oxpeckers on them. But we see male giraffes with all sorts of injuries. I imagine he'll heal. I think if we just get a little bit closer, we can get another look at his leg. What about here, Si? Ouchie. Yogeshwa, yes they do. Giraffes do have subspecies. And there's a really interesting paper, cannot remember the name right off the top of my head, but it's the new classifications of giraffes, and they've actually classified 4 separate species. The southern, the Maasai, the reticulated, and the northern. And I believe there's 9 subspecies. 9. But with the actual species, the 4 of them, the study suggests that DNA of the 4 separate species, they've got different Latin names, have not crossbred or exchanged genetic material for millions of years. And I was actually touching on that this morning. Subspecies can eventually, over long periods of time, evolve into separate species. And the question sort of remains, what kept them apart for so long? And the theory is that it's most likely physical barriers, like rivers or mountain ranges, and that's what kept them separated enough, long enough, for new species to arise. So the giraffe species of 4, I believe it's 9 subspecies. But I will find the name of that paper for you. A little bit text heavy, but interesting all the same. I just can't remember the name of the paper off the top of my head. really, really don't know what did that to this boy. I'm going to guess lion. The Talamatis are well renowned for going after giraffes out in this area. Ian, very good question. I think they tolerate them. However, sometimes when they pull out the tick, it can be a little bit, I mean, I'm using the word painful, but that's maybe, I think uncomfortable is probably the better word. And you can see sometimes they just shake them all off. They definitely tolerate them. I mean, they are benefiting from the removal of ticks. Ticks are very natural on lots of organisms out here, but once the sort of tick load increases to an unsustainable level, it can make the host species quite ill. And we see ticks in some very interesting places. Certain places on one's anatomy that I would not want an oxpecker, and the giraffe does not seem fazed. Can't really stop them. I mean, how long can you keep shaking off oxpeckers for? At some point, you're just going to think, well, you know, we'll just let them hitch a ride. I found the paper. Multi-locus analysis revealed 4 giraffe species instead of 1. From 2016. Vanessa et al. It's a really interesting paper. If you're in the mood for some heavy reading, give it a go. 4 species, 9 subspecies. Across the range in Africa. But yes, I see impala get very bothered by oxpeckers a lot. They allow them, of course. They're the smallest size antelope to allow oxpeckers. You won't find oxpeckers on steenbok or duiker, but they get very irritated with them, and you will see them sort of shake and kick and even run to get rid of them. But the larger the animals get, be it giraffe, rhino, they seem to tolerate oxpeckers. But it hasn't been confirmed whether it really is a parasitic relationship. It's sort of a debate in science right now. The oxpeckers are not trying to hurt the giraffe. It's very indirectly, but by keeping a wound open to get access to the blood, it's going to be very detrimental to the host species. He keeps swatting his tail, which acts as a swatter anyway over his injury. I think he's trying to keep away the oxpeckers and flies. So Shadula's about to cross, so I think we may as well let her head south. We're going to bumble around and slowly make our way to the hyena den.
So cool, yeah. We're still watching this. Also, bird life is mixed in this dam, yeah. So incredible. We got now bull elephants walking on their far edge. We have this Kayamandi Dam up north in Trebelishoek. It's probably why the female, they were communicating so much. It looks like a whole group of these elephants all spread around all over in this area. There's a new species, bird. African spoonbill, pretty white. If you look at its beak, pretty much like a teaspoon in the end. It's far from us. All Egyptian geese are all about flying around. It's a big lake over here. So he's probably going to walk around behind the herd. He's probably going to rejoin the other herd that was calling when we were there. It was incredible communication they were doing to see how he actually moved very smooth, gentle, as a big bull elephant. Put his trunk down, he would be able to
Our old boy here is very dominant, I think, with these dark patches. Dark horse of the Giraffe Society. Socially dominant. That's recent science as well. But these little thermal windows are very dark. The description of the shape of the thermal windows is dolichomorphic shape. And the shape of the giraffe, is dolichomorphic. And this is said to increase the giraffe's surface area without proportionally increasing their metabolic mass. And what that means is it is assisting in thermoregulation. How does a giraffe cool down? It's hot, it's sticky. We know how elephants cool down. So this unique shape, that's what they call it, dolichomorphic. And you can see that it's got a big body, long legs, but that sort of long neck. It's increasing the entire surface area of the giraffe, but it's not increasing the substantial mass, which means that this can enhance heat loss mechanisms. So the shape assists in thermoregulation. The ossicones, believe it or not, those sort of two things protruding from the top of the head, they're really well vascularized. And what that means is they contain a lot of blood vessels, and they also assist in losing heat. Similar to an elephant's ears. No, they're not thin, and no, they don't flap them, but they're vascularized. And these blood vessels can dilate or constrict depending on the temperature. And when they dilate, that means the blood flow is increased to that area, and that's exactly how they lose heat. When the blood vessels constrict, it means that the blood flow is reduced, and that's retaining the heat within the body. So they will constrict when it's cold, and they'll dilate when it's hot. And a giraffe's skin, believe it or not, unlike an elephant, can actually contain sweat glands. Many active sweat glands. And the size of the glands itself that releases the sweat are said to be significantly larger within those thermal windows, those thermal patches that I started to talk about, and I changed my mind. That's what they're called thermal windows. Some people say spots, but I can't bring myself to say spots. That's patches to me. And the glands are bigger in the patches than anywhere else. And that's how the term thermal windows comes about. So they're able to sweat, lose heat through their ossicones, and have a very unique body shape. So for now, as I admire this old bull, we're going to send you back across to Andrew.
So we now come to the very much top of the dam wall. You know, a whole lot of elephants that were seen from the distance. This is what probably that male was always behind them. Now they're moving away from the dam, this one, but this is not actually the first herd that we saw when we come in. It's another different herd or another separate group. But probably the same group. They just played around a bit in small group. And for such actually big animals, so easy for them to disappear. And move forward. Probably that male is still behind them. Just to reposition here. Such an amazing clouds as well as the water in this dam here. So it's incredible That's why sometimes bird life, it's also amazing. Look at this all dry wood in the middle of the dam. It's all lead wood.
I've got a hippo there.
Oh yeah, hippo! So we also have hippos in this dam as well. And looks like there's one there, but there's more on their left. And the edge. Somewhere there. Thanks, Duffy. Yeah, there's all of them there. Those are the hippo that they were making noises when we were within the elephants. And all of the birds sound that you can hear on the background. Flower Girl, you say it's such a beautiful scenery. Indeed it is. Actually, more especially this time of the day, and the sun is up a little bit setting, but shiny and clouds to provide even more beauty about, oh, there were male elephants coming in. So we lost him as we traveled down here, because then it's a little bit of woodland on the backside. Behind him, that's where we lost him. And it's cool that he's actually making his way. He's now going to keep up with the herd that have moved through the wood. So he will be behind them. A baboon in a way distance is barking. So I'm gonna be sending you. Sorry, if we listen in the background, you hear the baboons every now and then. So we're gonna have to investigate the area where the baboon, why they will be shouting about. Probably maybe seeing, is this actually an alarm call then for a baboon to do that? So we're gonna quickly investigate to see what is there. Usually they would do that for a cat. I would love to see if it's a cat, a leopard, which one in this far north. So there is a troop of baboon that always around in this area. Quick link, Pride Land.
Sorry everybody, we did have a leopard, but it is now gone, and it is probably going to be gone for quite some time, because the leopards at Pridelands, unfortunately, are very nervous, and are not quite... Oh, there he goes, off to the right. There you go. To right. There. Coming off to the left a little bit. It's just there. just missed him. We did probably saw him very, very quickly, but unfortunately I cannot move around at all. I cannot reposition, I can't do anything, because it is a miracle that we are able to go live to you from this point. This is like the first time ever, so if we are going to want to try and get another view of him, we're going to have to move as quickly as possible, but it's also as slowly and quietly as possible. But I don't know who it is just yet. But we're going to keep our fingers crossed that we can get another view of this beautiful spotted cat. Off we go across back to the Sabi Sand where Lauren's on a bit of a bumble.
We are on the path, the exact same path that we found Shadulu on. We can see her tracks to the hyena den. If it's not active, then you know the drill, everyone. Now, many of you still ask me on a daily basis, why do you not stay when there's no adults? And it's just general good guiding practice. We don't stay with wild dogs after it gets dark. We don't stay with cubs without their mum. It's just, I don't think we're in luck here. It's the general sort of rule of thumb for guides out here. It's not appropriate. It'll encourage the cubs to come out and be very confident. And although they just want to explore your vehicle, it's not active. Oh my goodness. You lot gave me a fright. Okay, brief glimpse of what gave me a fright for 2 seconds, Simon, and then we shall leave again. I don't see an adult. I just see all the McNaughties waiting on an adult. Okay. Bye, guys. We'll pop back a little bit later. But yes, it's just general guiding practice. We don't stay with... When Tandy's cub was younger, her son, not now, we didn't stay with him. We didn't stay with any of the Nkuhuma cubs when they didn't have adults. So it's exactly the same. There's a little cub in there, Junebug. It's very young. So we don't want to encourage these cubs to come over to our car because they're very curious. A little bit too curious. And leave them exposed. Shadulu was just here a few hours ago. We can't be responsible for drawing them away to the den, even though it's just curiosity and there's no adult there to protect them. So there's lots of rules we have here, just general guiding practices when animals are young. It's not that the vehicle will harm them, they're very habituated already. It's just that it may draw them away from the den. We can see them. I mean, Ribbon's boys are probably old enough, but there's lots of different age groups, 4 different age groups. Ribbon's pair, Heart's pair, Corky's daughter, and June's daughter, we think. Well, it means the adults may return soon. What time is it? It's 6:30. Okay, we'll go for a little bumble, and then we will come back later, and hopefully there'll be an adult and we can spend some time there. Also, when cubs are first born, it'll be classed as a sensitive sighting. It'll be blocked. 1 vehicle only, and there'll be a certain distance you can stay away from the sighting. Just got to respect the animal in their natural environment. Oh, dear. Hey, this is a very complicated question. It's mostly through observed behaviour. There was a big study done on whether it was sort of hormones in the womb, whether it was prenatal exposure to hormones, whether it was all sorts of things, genetics, was it DNA, is it genetically wired? And the study basically showed that it's maternal behaviour. It's exposure to your mum's behaviour, and it was sort of utilising adopted hyenas. They were adopted into a clan, and even if they came from a high-ranked mother and they were adopted by a low-ranked mother, they then became low-ranked. They were watching their mum. It's observations, learning through observations, as a lot of mammals do out here. Mum's acting aggressively to this individual, so I will act aggressively. The tail is up, I'll put my tail up. but Mum acts really submissively to Ribbon. I need to act submissively to Ribbon, and it's a process of learning. And normally the cubs take on the rank of their mother or just slightly below their mother because they're following their mother's every footsteps. But of course, once males disperse, it's a very different story. But for females that are going to stay in the clan, they learn through behaviours, not through hormones. It's not genetically wired. It's not nature. It's also not sort of exposure to hormones in the womb. It's just behaviour. Isn't that amazing? I think it's really fascinating, and that's how they're able to maintain that hierarchy, know their place on that proverbial ladder. Okay, so I'm going to take a short bumble, see if I can find anything else before eventually returning. But for now, we're going to send you across to Yapi.
Come down. So, after the water buck, we've decided to check a dry riverbed. And at this point, we haven't really had much luck, to be honest. There is lots of signs and lots of tracks of animals. See a lot of giraffe tracks in the riverbed, and also we've actually seen quite a bit of waterbuck tracks. Now, there's a lot of little puddles hidden away in between the reeds here, and when the elephants come down, at the moment this riverbed is so saturated that they don't have to dig deep. They literally can just kick a few kicks, and then the water will start coming through the sand. Now, with all of those holes dug around, there's a lot of animals that benefit from them, and the waterbuck is one of them. But being down in this riverbed with all the reeds here, it's actually quite humid, and there's a lot of flying insects at the moment. And I'm driving very, very slowly because there's a lot of things like terrapins and frogs crossing the tracks in the riverbed. But just have a look at this. It's kind of like it's almost like a jungle at this point. This is the greenest I've ever seen in Ngala. And only a few months ago, all these reeds we're driving through now, they were cropped down to a level where you can easily see above them. And that's because the elephants ate them. But it looks like with all the other good food sources around at the moment, they've stopped. And now they've started growing again. And there's these really, really tall clumps of reeds around. And an animal like a leopard can easily hide in them without being seen. Or buffalo bulls. The best thing about driving the riverbed late in the afternoon is the sunset. You can see the beautiful clouds up in the distance. And then, of course, the bird life. The taller trees on the bank provide quite good shade. And what I was hoping is that we might be very lucky and see a leopard up one of those big trees, but I think that might be wishful thinking. However, since it's cooled down so much, this is the time of the evening. Ngala is indeed very, very beautiful. I agree with our viewers. It's mesmerizing at the moment. I've never seen it like this personally. And with all the rain, this is the first year since I've been here that the rain has actually come at the normal time that it's supposed to. And it's amazingly green. Thinking back to just the end of September when it was still barren. There was almost no leaves on most of the trees. The reeds were cropped down to the base. There were no flowers and shrubs growing in the riverbed itself. We're quickly going to head over towards Pridelands. They've got some exciting stuff happening there.
Thank you. Right, so we're very, very lucky. Oh, after this cat was... Sorry about that. After this cat was slinking through the grass and he disappeared, we were very, very lucky to have him come out. Oh, a bit of a cough. I'm just trying to figure out if this is the same male leopard that we've seen a few times, but quite skittish. I'm just waiting for the good old social medias to download all the pictures so that I can try and find it. He's a beautiful cat. Is that a male? Let's have a look. Big cat though, and lovely jumping up in the marula tree. I'm not going to talk too loudly, because the last thing that I want to do is scare this leopard. Although if it is the same individual, I'm very impressed to how relaxed it is. We are getting to that crepuscular period where often cats that are nervous and out during the day tend to relax in the evenings. Is this not Pixie Pan? Very blue eyes. Looks like it has a... Not too big for Pixie Pan, isn't it? Got a tutu spot pattern, got quite a pink nose. Maybe it's a young male. Maybe it's... do you know who this also could be? Do you remember when, a little while ago, we had a great sighting of a young male leopard that was chased up a tree by some lions, and it wasn't the first time that he'd been chased up the tree by some lions. Now, he's a little bit more relaxed. We haven't quite figured out who he's the son of just yet, but maybe that could be him, because if I'm not mistaken, he also had very, very blue eyes. And this doesn't look like a fully grown male leopard. It's big, but he doesn't look old. I'm wondering if it's maybe that youngster, that sub-adult, that was roaming around here. But I haven't got, and I don't really have much signal. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be much use, but I know some of you have been keeping screenshots, which is great. Unfortunately, this is a little bit too far away for us to get decent ID photos with our cameras. So if you are using Twitter, please hashtag Wild Earth, and I am going to keep an eye on it myself too. But this is very cool. The other bigger male that I have seen has got a few scars on him, and he doesn't look like he's got many scars at all. He's got quite a clean face, even his ears, no nicks in them. He's grooming himself. But this is awesome. Definitely a male. I don't think it's the big boy that we normally see. I think this is another male. But I'll wait for all of you to do the wonderful hard work and go through those folders that I know you all keep. And then I'm sure Final Control will let me know. It's difficult to see his spot pattern from here. I'm just going to have a look with my binoculars. A little bit clearer. Okay, hard to see. I thought I saw at least two. But, yeah, anyway, it's very nice to see a leopard here at Pridelands. Now, for those of you that aren't aware as to why the leopards are so nervous at Pridelands, remember this used to be a fenced-off reserve, so it wasn't only until a few years ago that Pridelands dropped its fences to be open with the greater Kruger. And now the habituation process starts, because it wasn't a safari or wilderness area where people go on photographic safaris here at Pridelands before that. So there was no work being done on the leopards. So we've got to start from the beginning, and this takes a couple of years in order to habituate. Normally you'd try and habituate a female and then her cubs and then their cubs and so on, and then it becomes a bit easier, but we try and spend as much time as we can where we can. So we're quite far away. We must be about, how can you see on the camera, 70 meters? Does it tell us? Mm-hmm. Does it tell you how many meters on the camera we are distant? Okay, it's going to have a look on the camera and see exactly how far away we are.
50 meters.
50 meters. Only 50 meters. Goodness gracious. Wow. So quite a distance in comparison to how you're used to viewing leopards in the Sabi Sand. Normally the leopards just about walk right underneath the car. Alaramo, you said that's quite a tail. Yes, it's very, very long. But of course leopards need a long tail It's vitally important, seen as though they spend so much time up in the trees for balance. Obviously, the cats use their tails for various reasons, but balance is the main one. But if you're a cheetah and you have a slightly flattened tail in comparison to the rounded tails like leopards and lions have, they use their tails like a rudder, and then, of course, to help balance them when they're running at incredible speeds. How cool is this, though? Panting a lot. Can almost see a dewlap starting there, so not a super young leopard. But we unfortunately haven't got ID kits yet. It's been quite a process. I can't remember when I last had a long sighting of a leopard like we're having right now. It's been quite some time. We normally try and find Pixie Pan, who's a female. She has 2 cubs. We're just trying to see if I can get Twitter to load, see if anybody has sent anything. Perhaps Final Control can let me know, because I know you guys have got better signal in Johannesburg than I do. If anybody has managed to figure out who this boy is. Definitely not the big male that you've seen a few times. This is a different fella. It seems as though there isn't anything just yet, which is interesting. Perhaps those of you who have taken an interest in keeping track of the various spotted cats at the Wild Earth locations are also stumped. But if you do take some screenshots, please tag me or hashtag Wild Earth so I can have a look. And what I will do is I will send it off to a few of the guides who have been in this area for quite some time. Now, I don't know if all of you know this, but the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate is not too far away from here. Probably about 300 or 400 meters as a crow flies from where this leopard is sitting. And then there is a tar road towards the Air Force Base, and across the road is basically a suburb where people live, but it's a wilderness area. So people have houses there, there's general game, and of course leopards and hyenas and the wild dogs come in freely. So what could happen is that perhaps this individual is one of the leopards that go in and out of the reserves. And there is extensive camera trapping that has been done in the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate, which could be quite cool. How crazy is that, eh? You could be sitting outside, having coffee or putting the laundry out, and then the next minute, a leopard walks past you. Or a pack of Cape hunting dogs come chasing the impala that are in your garden. It's a really beautiful spot. But to have a leopard up in a Maruda tree, like I said, especially at Pridelands, is really, really a special view. And I've got one of the instructors, Sean Matthewson, who located this leopard, and his students who are doing their trails guide. And they're enjoying this too. Nadia, I just got the gist of that question. I think you said something about are males as territorial as the females? Yeah, both male and female mark and defend territories, but a male's territory is much larger, and his territory might actually, will overlap quite a few females. So it's quite similar with lions, where the males have a big territory and they might not just have one pride of lions that live within there, the females, there might be 2 or 3. So in the case of Pridelands, it's quite difficult. It's not a massive property. So, this, like I said, this leopard's territory could extend across and into the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate. It might even extend off to the east, Quenga, which is another area we can traverse. And then, of course, Jajani is just to the east of us. So you might find that these leopards, for example, Pixie Pan, she moves all over the whole of Prideland. We've literally seen her in every corner of the property. So she doesn't have one spot that she likes to hang around. She does these sort of routes that she moves around quite regularly. So it's interesting to try and figure out the movements. And of course, every moment that we spend with these cats is very, very important. I do wish we were a little bit closer, just so that we could get a better view of his face and I could try and figure out what his spot pattern is, but it's very difficult, and also now the light is fading. Even with my binoculars, it's quite difficult. But thank you for all of you that are sending through your screenshots. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to sit and have a look and see if I can't figure out who he is, or if we go across to Andrew, who's sitting with one of the other big cats.
was able to arrive into a watering hole. Drink. But looks like we're coming here for eating something tomorrow this night or midday.
Always do something. And welcome back. So we're still in the Timavati riverbed just because that's too beautiful to leave at this point. You can see all the beautiful big trees. Now I'm hoping that now that it's cooled down sufficiently, we might be lucky and catch a glimpse of animals moving across from one side to the other, like the female leopard in this area. Now, this is one of the densest parts on the entire section of the riverbed that we have on Ngala. And the river takes a huge bend off to our right. So the entire area up on that bank kind of forms like a forest. And that is where a lot of general game spend time at the moment because of the good food. Now, the leopard, once it starts moving, if it is hungry, it will head towards that area because she knows the area very, very well. Even though she's got quite a large territory, she's mainly been using this particular part. So I guess this particular part is sort of like the core area. Now with this particular leopard, I know that she moves right underneath our noses and we go days without seeing her, sometimes weeks, and then suddenly she'll just pop up. But while we continue looking for our leopard, we'll send you over to Lauren with her leopard.
Well, we have another leopard, so good luck with your search, Yappy. We're back on lock with the Duke, the sausage. I imagine he will be very sausagified. That's a very scientific word right there, as he has feasted on his kill, which is now hoisted in the nearest Tamboiti tree. I think it's a female impala. It's an adult, and it's the same impala that he had this morning in the grass, but he hadn't hoisted, and he obviously decided, this is not a good idea, there's lots of hyenas around here, so he's hoisted it deep in the Tamboiti tree. Now, I think the discussion earlier was on what tree species leopards prefer, and they definitely do have preferred species to lounge on, but when it comes to hoisting, if there's not much choice, and you've got to get it up a tree, you're equipped to do it anyway. I've seen Tandy run up the smallest apple leaf and hoist hill. Tingana in this Tamboiti, this cannot be easy. It's not the sturdiest or easiest Tamboiti tree to navigate. Jackalberries, marulas, they're your sort of standard trees that you'll find leopards in. Out of choice, but if there's no choice, then you've just got to hoist it up anyway. And apparently we just missed him climb down, but that's okay. He's taking a rest, and I'm more than sure he'll head back up there. So it's still in the same drainage line as this morning, right opposite Gowrie Dam. He keeps trying to eat all the flies that land on him. And I often say that Shadulu's tracks are very large, and I updated you all earlier that there's a possibility Hukamuri's on the reserve. It was actually Shadulu's tracks that got confused. And that's how large her tracks are. She's a big leopardess. Okay, she's not male size, but she really does have large tracks, especially in comparison to Tandy and Tlalamba. She's got big feet. Are you enjoying eating all the flies, Tingus? Good source of protein right there. I think he's came down because the branch is not comfortable. It's not a branch to lounge in. If he had hoisted up a marula with the big fat flat branches, I think he would be sleeping next to the kill, but this tree is just not workable. He can probably eat, but then he probably can't lounge there, I would imagine. And that's why he's came down to the ground. Oh, there's another one of the neck-winged beetles. You see that, Simon? Right next to Tungana. On the right. They're everywhere right now. So unfortunately, Andrew has had a little bit of a hiccup with his microphone, so he won't be able to speak, but we are going to send you across to him and his lions.
My name is Taylor McCurdy, and I work for Eco Training. I love hearing from all of the viewers. However, I particularly enjoy those of you who have been watching for a few years. Your questions are just so advanced, and they really get me thinking. If you'd like to ask a question on Wild Earth, you need to register on our website. Once you've done that, head to the live safari page and submit your questions below the live feed.
For the month of January 2021, we are offering a chance to win a unique Wild Earth expedition to the magnificent Tswalu Kalahari. From the ancient Kortai's Koranenberg Mountains to the southern Kalahari's red sand dunes, Tswalu offers what travelers crave most: space and time. The winner will explore this landscape in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback, with a chance to go behind the scenes with Wild Earth and of course meet the meerkats. The prize includes a 3-night stay for you and a friend at the luxury Motse Lodge, including flights from either Johannesburg or Cape Town. Open to all Wild Earth explorers who have signed up before the end of January 2021. Terms and conditions apply.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Team Wendy here have gone into infrared because we're actually in a drainage line. Although the sun has gone down, we've got lots of tree coverage here. It's a real sort of Tamboiti thicket, and it's making this area a lot darker than it actually is. So we're using our infrared light, and you can just see Genghis Khan's head here. We can see you. It's not the best views we've ever had of our gorgeous leopard, I'm afraid. It'd be so wonderful to see him climb this tree. He keeps watching it. He keeps checking it's still there every few minutes. And it's still there. The impala, believe it or not, has not ran away. It's still there, Ting. But this is the time he knows he'll be looking out for the Misi, aka the hyenas. Can you hear the bubbling casinas? I'm not sure if you can hear them, but it's the most wonderful sound. Oh, Jared said you can hear them. That's lovely. It sounds like that sound people make when they pop their finger against their cheek. I can't personally do it. It's such a lovely, and the bubbling casino's a frog, in case anyone's unsure, and that's their call. They start to call when the sun goes down, and they call all night long. Every single fly that decides to fly a little bit too close to Tungana's face, he tries to eat. Every single one. I know it's not the best visuals, but I would also really like to see him climb this tree. It's been a while since I've seen Tungana do it. He's still as strong as ever, but it's been a while since I've actually witnessed him climb the tree. Admire his power. Look upon their fur, their hair. I believe their skin is almost a sort of greyish colour. The beautiful rosette pattern that you can see, the spots and the black and the white and the sort of beautiful yellow fawny colour is in their hair. If you were to shave a leopard, which I can't even begin to imagine what Tingana would look like completely shaved, but anyway, it's a very skinny colour. Not the same as human skin, but it's quite grey. And of course people know that because leopards are skinned for their coat, for their hair. It's used in a lot of sort of ancient tribal practices. It's quite an illegal market for the skin. And I don't mean bee skin, I mean with the hair attached of leopards. Which is rather sad. I can just see the eye shine. That tapetum lucidum. If they didn't have that eye shine, we wouldn't find most of our predators at night time. We really wouldn't see them. That's what we're looking for with our spotlight. And it's just a layer of tissue in the eyes of many vertebrates. Just a specific layer, and it sort of sits right behind the retina, if you like. And it's basically a retroreflector. That's all it is. It just reflects visible light back to the retina. And it does this twice. So this is increasing the amount of light and helping the animal see better at night time. It's increasing the amount of light available to the photoreceptors inside of the eye. So it's basically the main factor behind night vision in most of the vertebrates out here. But I believe a lot of deep sea animals also have a tapetum lucidum. And it can occur in some species of spiders. But we are diurnal. Humans are not nocturnal, generally speaking. Of course, some of us are night owls, I would imagine. I am not. But we are generally, as a species, diurnal, and therefore we do not have a tapetum lucidum. It's a Latin word, and it basically just means bright tapestry. The tapestry is referring to the layer in the eye, and brightness is, of course, referring to the amount of light that allows you to see in the dark. We really can't see well in low light conditions, humans. I struggle when I'm at home in Scotland driving. I really struggle when it gets to that evening time when the sun is going down, if the sun was ever really up, but you know what I mean. And I really struggle because humans just do not see well in low light conditions. But that's how we can see Tingana, and that's what we're looking for with the spotlight, the eye shine. And immediately when we see the eye shine, we turn all lights off. We have that fantastic tool that is the infrared light. It blows me away. I love the fact that Wild Earth has that. We can stay in sightings with any animal really and not put any artificial light on them whatsoever. I love that sound. I've got someone keeping an eye on the hyena dens. If the adults come, we'll go back. I would really like to spend some time with them. Christo, very good question. Normally the leopard itself just abandons it. So the leopard has no need for it anymore. But more times than not, the carcass falls to the ground. And that's exactly what the hyenas are waiting for. They wouldn't... That was the Wahlbergs I just heard there. We drove past it earlier. The hyenas would not wait, because they can hunt. They absolutely can hunt. They would not wait underneath the tree patiently as they do if it wasn't worth it. It has to be worth it in some regards. And normally when a leopard is eating, they drop some morsels of flesh But at the very end, when the leopard is finished, it's normally so flimsy, it's not got any weight underneath it because the leopard's finished all the meat. It's normally just bones and hooves that it normally falls to the ground. And the leopard doesn't really care. And that's what the hyenas are waiting for. But sometimes they don't fall to the ground and they can just sort of biodegrade up in the tree. I do think we've got enough time to see him get up the tree, though. I do think he'll go back up as it gets cooler and cooler. Okay, so we're going to sit tight in this drainage with Mr. Tingana, but we're going to send you across to Yapi, driving in the riverbed.
Well, I hope that leopard climbs up the tree. At the moment, we're still slowly cruising along the riverbed, and we haven't really seen much movements on the banks. But this is the time of the evening where the crepuscular, or animals that's active during the transitional periods of the day, early morning and in early evening as well, or the smaller creatures, the more difficult things to see. So one of those that I haven't seen in a very, very long time is the African civet. And I know that these denser areas along the riverbeds, especially for us, the Timberwolf, is a good area to see civet. It's funny because in the morning we see tracks everywhere. In fact, we often use the civet tracks to judge the age of other creatures' tracks, like the cat tracks, leopard, whether the leopard moved during a night or early morning, depending on how clear the track is and how sharp the edges is. Now, what's amazing about the riverbed, it's almost like a canvas each day. If you drive it enough, you take note of whatever might have moved where. There are major game trails or animal pathways that come down this riverbed. In fact, where we are at this very point is actually a major one. But there's so much elephant activity at the moment. The elephants are, when one herd of elephants move across one of those game trails, they obliterate any other tracks that might be there. And due to the rain that we've had recently, there are some of these areas that's been eroded down completely. Like that area right over there that we can see in the distance. You can see like it's run down. If you look carefully, you can see there's quite a lot of tracks. And that's where the elephants headed up. Beth, I appreciate your concern. I'm not afraid of predators at night time due to the fact that I am on the vehicle and they, well, at least the animals that we see within this particular part are used to the vehicles and us being on the vehicles. Having said that, doesn't mean that I'm going to go walk around on my own after dark. I'm not quite as well adapted as, say, the leopard, for instance. The leopard or the lion, they tend to have all the sharp senses that makes them creatures of the night. Good hearing, excellent eyesight, with a layer of reflective cells at the back of the eye, and that way they can all the ambient light within the sky to enhance whatever they're looking at. And one of the best things about this time of the evening is the sounds and the noises starting to go. And what I'll often do is I'll just stop and have a listen out. Try to hear if we might hear a lion roar from somewhere or a leopard rasp. And then it's almost as if all of the sounds are being deafened by the sounds of the frogs in the nearby puddles. It's amazing how much frogs there are, especially after rains. They completely disappear during the dry season. You don't hear them at all, but it doesn't mean that they're not there. In fact, I can actually hear a lion. I definitely heard a lion calling now, but it sounded very, very far off. Maybe not as far as it sounded this time of the year with all the dense bush and the trees and shrubs that all got their leaves. The sound doesn't travel as far, so you find that the male lions especially, they'll move to the open spaces to try and call from there so that the sound can resonate and therefore travel further. But I think what we'll do is we'll continue and have a look a little bit further down this section of the riverbed. In the meantime, we'll send you back to Lauren with the leopard.
Still not gone up the tree, I'm afraid, which is a little bit disappointing. From what I can gather from the lack of eye shine, someone is sleepy. Very sleepy. It's been a long day. You made a successful hunt in the wee early hours of the morning. Feasted, hoisted to kill, and it's been an incredibly hot day. It's nice to have Tingana back here. This was very much the core area of his territory. And believe it or not, a territory is not just a territory. It's broken up into different parts. You have the core area, the primary area, the secondary area, and they're defended and sort of marked in different ways. Now, the core area of any territory will contain a permanent water point. A water point that sort of species can rely on, that individual can rely on. And Gowrie Dam, Galagopan, Quarantine, it was very much Tingana's core area for a very long time. Now, he shifts all the time. His territory used to extend far west. You used to see him a lot there. Then he sort of moved over to us, and he never really crossed west once Hukamuri set up shop there. And now he appears to be pushing north and a little bit more nomadic. And that's what I mean about territories. They are constantly shifting. It's an ebb and flow, a weave of different individuals trying to claim social dominance. And I remember when Tingana got ill a few years ago, everyone was very worried about him. He was weak, something was wrong, and he wasn't able to sustain those energy requirements needed for patrolling. He wasn't claiming his territory, he wasn't defending. And therefore his scent, his odour fence will become weak, and his signal will become weak. And Hukamuri really pushed in then. He knew Tingana's not scent marking here, something shifted, I can push in. It's a constant push and pull from all of them. It's like that Mac visualizer that I like to watch when I'm playing music, and you just watch them all fit into one another, ebb and flow. It's not static, but then nothing in nature is static. And it's just nice to have Tingana back here. Miss Adam put his head down south. Wow, Tingana, there's not much we can do if we can't see you. Dion, most likely, yes. That's when they sort of conduct most of their activities. They're primarily nocturnal. They will sleep most of the day, especially in summer. It is so uncomfortably hot, so hot, that most of them will sleep. But then you saw Shadulu today. She was active, she was mobile. It's not that they can't be active during the day. They just are primarily nocturnal. And think of it like us. Some of us do night shift. Some of us go to clubs and bars and do things late at night. But we're primarily diurnal creatures. Definitely no shine from this Impala. Now, if he doesn't pop his head up, I'm afraid we may have to leave. I did want to see him climb the tree, but I can't let you all stare at grass for the last few moments of drive. Lee, I think we should ask him. Tingus? Tingus, are you going to sleep on the ground or the tree? Lee's not sure. He can sleep anywhere. They sleep on the ground all the time. And because they are primarily nocturnal, they're very mobile at night. He will move a lot at night. It's cooler. It's more air to breathe, if that makes sense. It's not so humid. But with regards to this tree, I'll just get Simon to show you it one more time. It's a Tamboiti. It's quite a small one. We're in a thicket. And there's actually a leadwood right next door that would have been better. But it's got quite a thick trunk. But then if you look at the branch that stems off, that is not ideal for a big-bodied cat like Tingana to sleep in, and that's why he's on the ground. His kills up there is safe, he can relax. The hyenas are not going to get it. But would he fit on that branch? This is the sausage we're talking about. I don't think so. I think it would be very, very uncomfortable. So most likely he's going to keep on going up and down all night. He'll rest on the ground. The soil's probably nice and damp and cool, and then he will go up the tree, have some food, and then come down again. But they can sleep in trees, and I also think it's quite dependent on the personality. There's a lot of leopards that just enjoy sleeping in the trees. Ah, hello. That's better. Lee wants to know where you're going to sleep tonight. I also want to know. He's a man of mystery. Won't reveal his secrets. Hopefully he'll still be here in the morning, though. I think there's a lot of meat left on that carcass. Absolutely, Leslie. A lone lioness really would chase away a leopard. And when you say take on, there would be no take on. The leopard would flee, especially Tingana. Tingana's response is always flee, and I think that's contributed to his success. I'm sure he's had some battles, absolutely, but he's a very successful older male leopard. And I think it's because he just knows to flee. And I think Tristan recently had a lioness, the Incohoma Pride, chasing Tingana, and he runs. I've seen lions chase Hosanna up a tree. You'll all remember that. I think it was this jackalberry that's here at the dam, and it happened on the dam cam. And Hosanna went to the very, very top of the tree. So a lone lioness is much bigger than a leopard. Much taller. Leopards are actually quite short at shoulder height, believe it or not, and much heavier set, much more muscular. I mean, a lioness can weigh about 130 kilograms, give or take. They're obviously not as heavy or as large as the males, but let's just say 130 kilograms. And I mean, a male leopard at maximum would be 90 kilograms, and I don't think Tingana meets 90. I could be wrong. We argue about this regularly in camp. But in answer to your question, absolutely a lone lioness would try. So we've got maybe around 10 minutes left and hope that Tingana climbs a tree. But for now, back over to Yapi.
There's an owl. And we've actually just come across what seems to be a Verreaux's eagle owl. Right over there. But because this animal is a nocturnal animal, oops. Oh, I think he might have just flown off, unfortunately. Let's have a look. Yep. Oh, unfortunately, the eagle owl has flown off. But that's what we're looking for at this point. Is those creatures that normally you wouldn't see. They come down into the river itself at nighttime because there's a lot of life that we don't see, the small insects and beetles. And actually for owls, a lot of their diet is made up out of insects, beetles in particular. Now it's really, really humid here, and what I've found is that when it's humid like this early evening, you find that the leopards are quite active. Now up ahead there's a little dip, it's a rock bank in the riverbed, and that bank, the rock bed underneath, actually keeps the water for quite a long time. So there's a little puddle and animals go down to go drink, especially the shyer animals, and it doesn't want to, or they don't want to go to the larger watering holes. Now I just heard that one of the other vehicles called in a leopard rasping not too far from this area, and I was hoping that we might get to hear it again, and that way we can determine exactly where it is, or well, more or less, and then from there move towards determining exactly where it is. Jerome, do dangerous animals ever get inside of our camp? Yes, they actually do. Leopard, lion, hyena, they all get inside the camp. In the camp that we are, we only have an elephant fence, which is basically 2 wires that mainly keep the large elephants out, and because of that, the younger ones stay out as well. So even though we don't always know that they're there, we do see hyenas a lot, but lion on occasions. Leopard, I think, more often than we know. Especially near where we live, I've often seen leopard tracks early morning going past the rooms. But they tend to keep their distance. They're quite nervous of us, and they don't really want to encounter us at night time, so they move when we are all sleeping. In fact, the place where I was staying last night, which is the old farmhouse on the reserve, we've been having 1 or 2 problems with elephants there at night time, especially elephant bulls, because the trees inside are protected by the elephant fence, and because of that, they haven't really been eaten by animals. And there are some marula trees with marula, so an elephant came in last night, pushed over the gate, and destroyed a Peter's fig. Well, while we continue to look for any nocturnal creatures around this area, we'll send you back over to Lauren with a leopard.
Yes, elephants can be very destructive. I remember the day one came into our camp and decided to break down a tree and throw it all over people's cars. Not a great idea. That's why we have the electric fences, so that we call them slinkies, that we slide once we go into camp. So it deters the elephants, but of course not Mr. Tingana. You walked right past my bedroom door last night, didn't you? And I'm going to throw him under the bus, don't tell him, but I have a terrible reputation for leaving shoes outside, but I've changed. After pair number 7, I learned my lesson. Took a long time, but I did learn. However, Mr. David Eastaugh, aka Davy, left his flip-flops outside last night. And Mr. Swazi decided to come along and eat them. Yes, so Davy has no flip-flops. It's a bad mistake to leave things outside, but it's unfortunate because you want to dry things, you want to aerate things, you want to keep them nice and fresh, but not when Swazi's around. Sadly not. So Tingana comes through our camp, Hosana comes through our camp, Tlalambas regularly in camp, and Shadulu. I've seen Shadulu a lot in our camp. She's a very relaxed leopardess on foot. You would most likely never get a proper encounter on foot with Tingana and Tlalamba. We know this from our bushwalks. But Shadulu is very, very relaxed. Some leopards are just accustomed to seeing humans. And Shadulu is definitely one of them. So I think we have a handful of minutes left until our Duke is definitely going to climb this tree.
Beautiful. So we're now trying to operate with a spotlight around here. And all you see on this horizontal, where there's almost western side, where the sun just set in, it's already dark. And it's actually the best time for most of a nocturnal animal to walk about, move, and they will be able to hunt, do their best of experience hunting as a nocturnal animal. So we left the pride of lion far in there, hoping for probably if they're gonna hunt on anything. But the guys, they managed to get closer look at them, and they say that they were actually finishing off the warthog head, which looks like they got us something at least to feed on. But while the males are probably far from them. So it's probably going to be one of the reasons they push further northeast, because of their own hunting without disturbed by the males. It's been a long night also for them last night. And now the cloud is picking it up, where they would be probably getting on move. Maybe they will found themselves up close to us here. Djuma, Quarantine. There's no sign of the buffaloes around here. It's all found out.
I think because I just threw Davy under the bus, Tingana's now going to throw me under the bus. And for the last 90 seconds, he's not going to climb the tree. Oh, no, he's getting up. Okay, I forgive you. That's good. He's very alert. There's a really lovely breeze coming through. It's cool. I finally feel like I can breathe fresh air. It's no longer muggy, but he's alert. He knows exactly what's going to happen. There will be a hyena rock up here. Lots of other animals will be attracted to the sense of the carcass, the smell of the carcass, sorry. And he knows that. He knows he's got to remain hidden himself, but also protect the carcass. Your leopard, your lion, and your hyenas are primarily nocturnal. Your wild dogs and your cheetah are primarily diurnal. So they all sort of move across the landscapes in different ways at different times. all very aware of one another and what threats they pose. But it's been so lovely spending time with the Duke. Can't help but love Tingana. But thanks to all of you. Thank you everyone for jumping on board. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for all your comments and questions. And of course, we'll be out in the morning, so please do join us then. Good night.